Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host and coach Aditya Sisodia from Stories of Opportunity. Welcome to another amazing episode. And this time, I've got a very special guest. I won't tell you about the guest, I would introduce you to our guest. And how would I be introducing? I would be showing you what our guest has done. So, with a big round of virtual applause, I'm just showing you the work our guest has done. So, are you ready for it? Here you go. So, as you guessed it right, our speaker for the day is Bobby Dsouza. Bobby is an author, podcaster, YouTuber, trainer, facilitator, musician. I don't have words to describe Bobby. In one word, if I have to describe Bobby, Bobby is a whole and soul entertainment package. I have personally known Bobby, and the reason I've invited Bobby is because his life, his work is an inspiration. His book, which he has written, Fallen to Rise, is based upon his life actual events, where he shares about his resilience, grit. Personally, for me, Bobby is an inspiration. I have seen him how during pandemic he has transformed his facilitation style. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and invite Bobby on the dais. Hi, Bobby. Welcome to Stories of Opportunity with Coach Sisodia. How are you this evening?
Good. Absolutely brilliant, Aditya Sisodia. It is such a pleasure to see you, and I love your background as well.
Thank you. So, Bobby, I was really looking forward, and we had been planning for your December event for quite some time, Bobby.
Correct.
So, Bobby, first for our viewers, I have introduced you. I'll humbly request you if you can share a bit more about yourself for the viewers who have joined us right now.
Absolutely. Well, I would love to do that. Just a little introduction of who I am. Uh, I think while we are having a conversation, I will be sharing a bit of my story, which will surprise a few people and possibly might even inspire people to do something bigger, better, and higher. But I've been in the industry for the last 20 plus years now. And I'm actually a motivational speaker. I'm an author of the book Fallen to Rise, as Aditya wonderfully said. And I have been in learning and development for already 12 years. And I used to be in customer service. I was in sales for many years. And a lot of lessons that I've learned in my life have been through experiences rather than qualification. So they have been through the university of life, and also a lot of people, find it interesting to attend some of my live sessions because I also bring in humor and music. So I, bring in drums and electronic drums, which actually engages a lot of people. So that's just a little about me.
So, Bobby, I'm really surprised because you are one person who continuously evolves himself. So,
Correct.
what is the secret of and what is the inspiration behind evolving yourself, transforming yourself?
I think that's a wonderful question. What's made me evolve? During these times of lockdown and COVID-19, I was also, whenever we go through change in life, we go through, stages. One of them is called denial. The other one is resistance. Then we explore and then we commit. I also went through those times wherein I'm trying to break my head and say, what the hell, man, when will we be able to come out? Because as a speaker, I would love to do face-to-face sessions. I would like to engage and have fun with people face-to-face, shake a hand, give a hug. That's how I am. But when we were just stuck in a box, just like right now, we are stuck in two boxes right now. Uh, at that moment of time, I had two choices. Either I can be very frustrated about it, or I can say, is there something bigger, better, higher, even through situations like this? And I think from the time when I was a young boy, somehow deep down in my very gut, I had this thought which says, whatever you're going through in your life, there is something bigger, something better, something higher waiting for me. And the only thing is, even in the dark tunnels, it's time to just walk in the dark tunnel, but know that this dark tunnel is not forever. There is going to be a light somewhere. And I think there is this grace, grace that I experience of the light, knowing that there is something bigger, better. And I think that's helped me to just evolve myself consistently because I personally believe for myself that something bigger, something better, something higher is there. So,
Amazing, amazing. That's really beautiful of you to share. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us from YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, do type in, share your message. Welcome Minakshi Rana for joining us from YouTube. And do feel free to ask us question because this session is going to transform you. As Bobby just mentioned, over the last 2 decades, it's that grit, it's that purpose with which Bobby looks forward to that has inspired him to evolve himself, to transform himself. We would love to take your questions in this live session. So, Bobby, we have curated some questions which we would like to share with you.
all right. Okay.
Okay. So, Bobby, the first one is why did you choose this topic for our today's conversation, Fallen to Rise?
Yes. Good question again. Why did we choose a topic for today's conversation? Because Fallen to Rise actually, uh, apart from just being a book which I'm promoting right now, but one of the reasons why Fallen to Rise is very close to my heart, apart from writing the book, is some of the biggest champions in the world have never become a hero or a legend or a star or a tycoon or a successful business venture until they have seen miserable fails. Some of the biggest, people who have risen up and who we look up to have fallen miserably. The only challenge is a lot of people are consistently seeing only the glory part of it. Whether you look at the creators of Facebook, whether we look at the story of Elon Musk, or whether we look at anybody, who's very inspiring to us, there are a lot of behind the scenes stories which do not show up on Instagram, that do not show up on Reels, that do not show up on, YouTube. But these are people we can really connect with. And I think a lot of time, I believe a lot of people want to see only the success part of it. But the truth is, every day is not a Sunday. There is going to be a Monday. There's going to be Monday blues. There's going to be Tuesday reds and greens as well. So I think Fallen to Rise is all about how do we connect with simple, ordinary people who have gone through the mess, but even their mess has become a message. And I am among the thousands of people whose mess has today become a message to so many people.
So, ladies and gentlemen, make your mess a message for people around you because you never know who you might inspire. So, we have got Vamika Shetty also. Thank you, Vamika. That's wonderful. You have joined us. Do pour in your like, hearts, comments because that would really inspire us to share more valuable content. So, Bobby, tell us a bit more about your book, Fallen to Rise, and uh, what can people expect? And
All right.
as I also remember, this is just volume one. You had mentioned
Yes.
that volume two would be coming soon.
Thank you. You are giving me a reminder that I'm supposed to start the second part. But I think the second part I will hold on for some time because I want to get a substantial part of life, happened until I write the next one. Writing
Hmm.
Fallen to Rise, this book took actually 3 years for me to write it. Uh,
Wow.
there were times when I was writing the book, when we finished the 10th chapter, everything looked like exciting. I made the new, I told my mama, I told my mother that I'm going to write a book. I told my close ones, I'm going to write a book. People were excited. I said, oh, congratulations, very good. All that was good. But when you finish the 10th chapter and the 12th chapter, and when you come to the 15th and the 20th chapter, suddenly you realize and you start having questions. And people started asking questions. In fact, somebody very close to me, I heard this behind the scene, and the person said, who the hell does he think he is? Why will people even read the book? And when I heard words like this, uh, I started questioning my own self, and I said, who will really read this book? And then I realized that every time I go in and deliver a keynote to thousands of people, whether they are small connected workshop or master classes, every time I deliver the session and when I share the story, there are people who are in tears. There are people who come and hug me and shake a hand and say, man, that story really hit me. That is connected to my life. I have had experiences like that. And when I see people rise up from saying that, oh, it's a mess, and then they feel a sense of hope at the end of the story, I realize, if when I go live in sessions, and people get so inspired, I cannot meet everybody, right? And I said, why not write a book? Because I believe books can reach places where a video may not go or even a movie may not go. So I said, why not write the book? So Fallen to Rise is basically a story of an ordinary boy, who faced some of the craziest challenges in his life, and how he was able to discover who he really is and how he was able to change perspective and rise from the ashes and help other people know that if he can do it, you can do better. So
Amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I have another question which is out here, uh, which is uh, what advice would you give to a smart driven individual about the real world, and what advice to ignore? Because Bobby, you are a motivational speaker. You meet a lot of working professional, young professional, aspirational professional. Also tell us about your retreat program, because I saw
yes.
your retreat program also where you take people. So, what is this retreat about, and what is the central theme of your session and workshops?
Great. So, Aditya, thank you so much for the question. Let me first take up the first question that you said. What advice would I give to smart, driven individuals about the real world and what advice to ignore? Let me answer that and I'll give the question for the retreat. All right. Now, the first thought is this: uh, the real world, in a real world that we live in, not everything is as per Pixabay and Pixel. What I mean by that is when you go to a Google image and you look for pictures of success, you know, of everything is so edited, so photoshopped. Everything looks so perfect. And unfortunately, when people study in a university, in a college, they somehow have a make-believe thought which says that my father and mother used to take care of me, when I was a young kid, and people pampered me, people loved me, and took care of me in my family. So the person who I am going to get in relationship when I get married or I get to do a job into career, everything's gonna be very simple, just like a Google image. But the honest truth is, the real life actually is very unfiltered. It's very raw. The today will be very different from what it is yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be very different. It's going to be very unpredictable. And one thought that I can give to anybody is start being comfortable with uncertainty. Some of the biggest champions in the world are not necessarily fearless. Elon Musk says that that when I get scared and when I have a situation that is really scary, I get scared at the same time, but at the same time I know that my goal or my vision or my dream is very important for me, and that's why I'll do it anyways. And I think it's very important for people to know that you got to realize that uncertainties in life, unpredictability of life, and specifically this VUCA world that we're living in, the COVID-19 has completely changed our perspective about everything, right? Including us, right? The work that you and I do, Aditya, we could never in our imagination think that something like this would happen. But today
True.
we are stuck in a box. This is the second time I'm saying that. And I have realized, and connecting it even to the first question, we got to evolve. And if we don't accept the uncertainty, and uh, if we are not, if we don't make ourselves future proof by getting ready for the uncertainty, then we'll become redundant. And therefore, it's very, very important for us to accept uncertainties and reinvent ourselves consistently every month, every week, every year. That's what I think. That's one
Amazing.
suggestion.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, how can people reinvent themselves? And at this point, I would request you to do emphasize on the point of having and hiring a mentor, a coach, a counselor, a trainer. Because these are something like Bobby, you and I know whenever we go and pitch, we are told, "Arey, entertainment thodi na karwana," and we are like, "This is not entertainment. This is emotional hygiene."
Yes.
Yeah? So, what
Yes.
is your suggestion that how can people become more resilient?
Yes. So let me answer one question of yours in regards to, do you need a mentor? Do you need a coach? A lot of people say that, I'm a self-made man. It sounds a great concept, but the truth honestly is that honestly, nobody really is a self-made man, because, and I'm okay for people disagreeing with me, there are people who will push you. There are people who will teach you. You may not meet certain people, but they will inspire you. So there are people around you who inspire you, encourage you, motivate you, sometimes push you, and sometimes even criticize you, which becomes a blessing for you. And as a result of that, you evolve and grow. So I personally think that it is very, very important for people to have a mentor and a coach in their life. In fact, a couple of people who are over here, actually, I have helped them in their life, and I've seen the difference in their life. But I want to share one true story with you, Aditya, and with the audiences, which I think would touch their hearts, and I think yours too. Uh, you know, uh, when I was a very small boy, my father, he left us and went away. He didn't die. He left us. Even today, whether my father's alive or dead, we actually have no clue where he is. I've, I've heard whispers from people that we heard about him here, but we don't know for a reality. Now, for a guy, I think it's very important to have a dad, because you can have a beautiful mother, and I absolutely adore and love my mother, but you also need a dad in your life, because as a guy you need a role model of a man. How should you behave, what should you do, how should you shave, for example. These are very basic questions. What should you do in a relationship? So many other questions that comes in, and I really had no mentor at a point of my life. And at the age of 19, 20, 18, when I was really, really confused and going through real tough times, uh, I had one of these mentors, who was not officially my mentor, but he was somebody who I would open my life with. And his name was Donald. And sometime when I used to go through real tough times in my life, I used to just say, "Can I come and talk with you?" And he was a busy man. He had a family, and he had such a busy life. He said, Bob, come." And I used to come to his house, and you know, he would tell his wife and his children to stay away from the bedroom. We're going to have a conversation. And I used to sit on one side of the bedroom, and he used to just sit down over there. And for the next 1 hour, I would rant, I would vent, I would talk about how the world is horrible, how things are not working for me, how I'm doing my self pity, and how things are terrible for me. And you know what he would do? He would not give me suggestions. He would just listen. For 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, he would listen. And remember, I did not have, my father left when I was very small, so I never experienced a father's love. And sometime when I used to be very emotional, he used to just make me get up and he used to give me a big hug. And when I have wiped my tears, then he would say, "Are you open to hearing something?" And then he would give me some suggestion and sometimes very strong feedback as well. And I tell you, one of the reasons I have become a person who's risen from the fall is because I had innumerable people who came to my aid and stood by me and guided me and pushed me and encouraged me. And sometimes when I used to become really, really proud of myself, because as a person, I'm a musician, I can act, I can dance, I can do this, I can do that, and I was sometimes very proud about it. And sometimes he used to come almost like in Hindi we say, "Tachni." used to come with the pin and just to and all my pride would suddenly, oh my god, and I used to get so irritated as a why the hell is he doing that, when I'm getting all the applause he would say, Bob, chill, humble yourself, humble yourself. And Robin Sharma in the book 5 a.m. Club, he says that when the soldiers used to walk on the roads, after winning a big triumphant victory, they had one person standing next to them, walking next to them, and they would say in the Roman language, saying that, listen, O Emperor, O Caesar Augustus, remember you're only a man. You're only a man. You are not God. You're only a man. There was a person allocated just to remind them that you are an imperfect human being. Today you're going to win a big victory, but tomorrow you're going to fail terribly as well. So you're a human. And I have had mentors and coaches who have helped me. And in a way, it has shaped me. I have seen people who have inspired me. Some people who I've met face to face, some people virtually. And I'm a better human because of the other people around me. So I think, should people have coaches, mentors? 120% yes. And I would recommend, even for a lot of other people, Aditya Sisodia is a wonderful coach. He's inspired. He's helped so many people as well. But should you have a mentor? 100% yes. I already have mentors in my life, and it tremendously helps. And answering the one question that you asked me, the retreat that we do every year, in fact, it's a very, very exciting adventure for people who want to come in. We do a number of things. For example, I think in the month of January, February, we'll do something called as Thrive, which is a series number 3, wherein for an entire day, people enter into a conference room or a banquet hall, and we do a live session where people's life are transformed. That's a one-day session. But one session that really excites us, and we take almost 6 months to prepare for it, is called as the Yes, I Can series. And we did one in Mumbai. The last one that we did was in the city of Udaipur, where we got people to stay in a beautiful bungalow. A beautiful bungalow. We got people to hike. We got people to trek. People got to see the incredible India, experience fun, fellowship, friendship, eat great, delicious dinner and food, but at the same time spend 2 days in the midst of nature, just discovering themselves, asking them this question: can I do things about my life? Because sometimes what happens is, people are putting in, it's almost like sometimes we are extinguishing our batteries, our fuel, because we're doing so much the entire year. Sometimes we just need to pause. And Yes, I Can series that happens in a form of a retreat, it basically gets you to just take a break consistently and ask yourself, why the hell am I doing what I'm doing? If I'm stressed, do I really need to take the stress? And you basically get to discover yourself. And there is a quote which I wrote which says, the greatest breakthrough in life does not happen only when you get the biggest, gadget, or the biggest, iPhone 12, or the biggest product, or just a promotion. The biggest breakthrough happens when you discover a truth about yourself. When you discover that truth about yourself, that's the biggest breakthrough that happens. Because when you have a breakthrough in your life, in your own mind, in your own heart, then even in the worst shit that you could be going through, in the worst struggles that you could be going through, you could still have that tunnel of hope that I said at the start. So 3 days of session, a retreat, really inspiring. And somebody asked, according to you, till what age would you? Okay, I think let Aditya take it on. Yeah. All right.
So Varun has a question for us, which is a follow-up on your mentor one. What is the right age to hire or have a mentor, coach, counselor? Because especially what we are seeing, the increase in suicide, depression, loneliness, and it is not considered something as, and sorry for using this word, something as the lifestyle of having a coach or a counselor. People are not open about being expressive that I'm vulnerable, I need help.
I think personally, I think there is really no age bar for people having, if people can go to, what is that application called as, where people can, children can do coding. What is that called as?
I don't want to take. I don't know whether my next video would be banned if I take.
Yeah. If if children can learn coding at the age of 6 years old, uh, I think everything happens internally. I learned this very young in my life that the greatest success, the greatest battle, depression, suicide, everything happens internally, right? Happiness is always an internal factor. Growth is always an internal factor. It is not only external. I personally think there is no age limit to where you can when you can start getting mentored. I started getting mentored, in my teens actually, 17, 18, 19. That's the time I started getting mentored. The the softer the clay, the more easily it can be shaped to grow, to develop, to find ways. And the earlier people learn, for example, Vamika Shetty is the one person I've been coaching over the years, and she's also part of retreats, all the events. She's one person who never misses anything. Uh, I think she's, if I'm not wrong, she's 17,
Wow.
17, 18, and she's attended everything you can imagine, all the
Wow.
sessions over the years. There are people I know, there are students of mine who met me 9 years back, 6 years back, who are still, you know, who are still being mentored. Somebody who was in their 12th standard, or plus two, that we call in the north of India, in Mumbai we say HAC. People who are
Huh.
in the 10th and 12th, they have been coached. And I personally think
Wow.
there isn't an age. Even if you're 60 plus, I think you can be coached. You should have a mentor.
Wow.
I think you should. That's it.
And Vamika has a compliment for you that it is such an transformative journey, and she has evolved as a person thanks to you and your entire team. And
Thank
this
you.
is the biggest compliment which I feel a mentor can get, where the
That's right.
mentees are acknowledging the transformation that has taken place. So we have another question from Saurabh. Now, this is something which I really ask all the speakers. Like, how do you recharge yourself? Because we are like a battery. We also get
Absolutely.
discharged. What's your mantra?
I'm very humbled when I share what I'm going to say, share possibly a little emotional as well. During COVID-19, and I'm going to be very real over here, sometimes it's been tough. And Aditya, you would also agree, and the people who are close to me would also agree. Apart from I sharing, what are some concepts that's really works for me, I think what you need is, you don't need the whole world to be your friend, but you still need a few trusted people who know you in your struggles. I think you need some close people that you can even cry with in front of people. You can share your struggles and not worry about being judged, whether they are your family members or some close friends. And I'm glad to say that at least I have a few people who I have shared some of my biggest struggles. And I think one of the ways that I have been able to keep myself charged during real tough times is, number one, surround yourself with people who genuinely value you outside the podium and stage of success. And that's for us, but for other people also. When people see you on Instagram, you look great, but that's not the real life, right? That's a real life. You got to see the life behind it. And as a result of that, I think you need to have some real good trusted people whom you can trust. That's one way. And I've opened my life to a few people, and it's really helped me when I was like 18 and even now. The other thing that has really, really worked for me is consistently feeding your mind with content that really, really inspires you. I'm going to share a few names, and if you want, somebody from the team also can just put it in the chat button for people. There are some
Sure.
resources that are available. There are some people who are really, really inspiring. For example, the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma is a great, great, great book, which I have actually used the entire period of time when in this COVID-19 time, and it's really helped me to build a great routine for myself. So if people want to build a great personal routine for themselves, to get up early, to charge themselves, 5 a.m. Club is a great book that you should be reading. So you should take a book and read one chapter a day. A lot of people personally say that I finish 60 books or 30 books in a year. Sounds like a record, but and there are people who I really love and admire also, who finish 60 books in a month or a year. I personally cannot finish many books in a year. You know, I have taken 5M Club, and I have finished most of the book in 6 to 8 months. What I do is, basically, I will take a chapter of the book and I will read one chapter, and then I will journalize. I will take a diary and a pen. I have not read many books, but I have written diaries of journals where I write my experiences of my life. And when I write my experience of life, I will also take one chapter of the book and pick up one small content from the book. For example, if it says, live in the moment, if this is a part of the book which says, live in the moment, if this is part of the book, then what I will do is, okay, Bobby, this is the question for you. The book says live in the moment. How do you think you can live in the moment? Then I put that as a question for myself in the journal. Then I ask myself a question: am I living in the moment? And then if I have the answer which says no, I'm not living in the moment. So the question is, what is stopping me to live in the moment? Because I'm consistently too worried about the future. So the next question then I ask myself is, okay, should you not worry about the future? Then I say, yes, I should take responsibility of the future and not like worry of the future. So the next question that I ask myself then is, are you worried of the future? Then my answer is yes. So where does worry come from? Worry comes from fear. So then are you living with fear or are you living with faith and belief? Because if I'm going to live in fear, I'm not going to be logical. I'm going to be very emotional. I'm going to irritate and make everybody around me disappointed and sad. So the question is, what do I need to do in order to live in faith, belief, and positivity? So then I need to live in the moment. And to live in the moment, I need to say that even when I'm going through the worst or going through the worst, can I just appreciate this very moment? For example, right now I'm speaking to Aditya. I could have 10,000 worries in my mind about 10 other things tomorrow. But right now, this very moment, I have a friend who I can trust, who I've opened up with, who I've asked for help. And he and Aditya, you know this, right? You and I have shared stories. You're one of the person who's helped me and connected with me to people, and that helped me to write my book. Correct? So I'm right now connected with you, and I can just say, I'm thankful for you right now because you came at a point of my life and helped me genuinely. And I can take this moment and enjoy the experience of this moment rather than worrying about what's for dinner or what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think living in the moment is a very important thing, and that comes from building. And you ask me a question: how can I reinvent myself, or how can I charge myself consistently? The answer is one thing: consistently, every day, build the power of self awareness. Build the power of discovering yourself every day. And for that, you need a diary. I would personally suggest to everybody who's watching this, who's going to watch it in the future as well, you got to purchase an expensive diary. And there is a reason why I say what I say. You don't have to buy a cheap diary. You got to buy an expensive diary which hurts you. You got to buy a pen that is expensive. The reason is, when you buy something expensive, you will tend to use it more often. Buy a diary that you really love, wherein you will just move your hand over it and say, wow, what a lovely diary. And every morning when you get up, use a diary, sit down with a pen and paper handy, listen to some beautiful sounds of nature. If there is a lot of traffic around you, put some earphone, listen to some inspiring music on YouTube, or on Spotify. Listen to them. And while you're just working on yourself, just invest in yourself. And one of the reasons why I have been able to rise up after every fall and have been able to motivate myself in good times and bad times is because I know that every day I will fuel myself, because I cannot nourish my energy to feed someone else until I feed my own self every day. And that is what I'm doing consistently. And that is one of the reasons why I've been able to charge up. 5 a.m. Club is a great book to read. You definitely can read Fallen to Rise, but I think you should also read the series of book by Stephen Covey. And one of the book I will really encourage people to read is called the Eighth Habit by Stephen Covey, which a lot of people have not heard about, but I think it is fascinating. It really builds your character. It does not just give you tips, it helps you to build your character. The Eighth Habit and the 5 a.m. Club, and also Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. 3 great books I will recommend anytime. That will really help. So,
I'll just type it in the comment.
Varun is saying that going to try this journal thing from today itself. That is fantastic, Varun. And Varun, when you're hearing me, may I just tell you that may this year 2021, and for everybody who's watching, may this year 2021 be absolutely fascinating. May you grow no matter what the situation is, and may you rise up to something bigger, something better, and something higher every day.
Great, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember what Bob just mentioned. First thing is, don't be cheap on your journey to greatness. Gift yourself a decent, adorable, and if I may use the word expensive diary, because every time you'll take pride in writing in it, you'll take pride in documenting yourself. Number one. Number two, ask yourself, are you driven by fear or are you driven by faith? Because fear will drive you emotional and faith is what is going to give you logic.
Yes.
99% of our decision is driven by emotions, and it's where we need to be resilient. What Bob just mentioned, how he charges himself. He reads a book, and then whatever he picks up, he tries to adopt in his lifestyle. Are
That's
you
right.
mindful about the book? It does not matter whether you have read 60 books a year. Even if you have read 6 pages, how are you making the sense out of those 6 pages?
That's right.
So, Bob has also mentioned 3 books: The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, and The Eighth Habit by Stephen Covey. Do find, you can find explainer videos on YouTube, you can find PDF, and you can even purchase it on Audible, Amazon, wherever you feel like.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So we have got another similar question from Bhavya, and it's how to motivate ourselves to positiveness.
I think I recently published a video which was, I think, yesterday, which was on the topic of breaking limiting mindset, and that video is available on YouTube. And if somebody from my team can even paste that in the link, if with your permission, Aditya. Uh,
Of course, please, please.
okay, so how to break limiting mindset, and I'm going to bring one concept over there, which I've learned from the fantastic Tony Robbins. I think in order to build positiveness, it's very important. You can people can do meditation, people can write a diary, people can write a journal, and people can do a lot of things. But what is very important is, if you want to build positivity, you got to shift your focus. Okay, now what basically happens is, a lot of time when we face a challenge in our life, or let's say we just had a battle with our partner, with a family member, or we had something in college that happened, in office that happened, something that did not work out, what happens is we are consistently so focused on what did not work out. And there is a scientific term called negativity bias. Now, what is negativity bias is, it does not matter how many good things happened in the day, there is one thing which is negative that will overpower everything that has happened good in the day. For example, right now, if you're feeling negative, if you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling disappointed, or you're just feeling stressed, are you able to count at least 5 things that are good in the day? For example, did you eat your lunch? A lot of people do not get lunch to eat. Did you eat your dinner? Possibly. Okay. Do you have a shelter to stay? Do you have a mother and father? Do you have family members? Are you alive? Are you breathing? Do you have cancer right now? Most people say, oh, no, no, I don't have cancer. Great. So these are 5 good things that you already have with you. But if you just had one challenge where somebody criticized you, somebody said something to you, then what happens is that overpowers everything that has happened to you, and then consistently you're bogged down with that one thought. And that is called negativity bias. So rather than just making that negativity your favorite or bias, what you do is shift your focus and say, okay, right now I'm feeling this thing is not working, this is not working, solutions are not happening. Can I shift my focus to what's working right now? What's good in this moment? Okay. So uh, I'll give you an example, Aditya. I was a long time back when I used to just deliver sessions in front of smaller group of people, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people. That's the group of people I used to deliver. Uh, there is a very large, air conditioning company in India, one of the top companies actually, and they called me to deliver a keynote speech. And I was not a keynote speaker, motivational speaker that time. I was just getting into it. I had not even written Fallen to Rise that time. So I go on the stage, and the thing was, the keynote that was supposed to happen, it was in an open garden. So I had never delivered a keynote in an open garden. It was a beautiful resort, but it was an open garden. Now you can understand, and it is at 5 p.m. in the evening. And if it is in an open garden, the entire stage is filled with chairs and all, and there are lighting. So I felt as if I'm going to speak at a wedding. So me and my colleague, we go over there completely shocked. What the hell is this? Because conference rooms are very controlled. There are no noises. Suddenly you can see people walking around. Having a little drink of wine and all. And I'm on the stage thinking, what the hell is going on? And they put on the speaker, they put on the lights and everything, and then they put on the projector, and I was depending on my presentation. And the problem is, because it's 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., the nothing on the projector can be seen. And the connection, the connection of the wires and all is so far away that my laptop is far away from me. And we don't have, what we say,
Clicker.
the clicker. So you can just imagine, like I said at the start, one thing that we need to learn in life is uncertainty. We got to accept uncertainties. Everything is not working for me. And there are 100 people. And I'm used to be very engaging, For example, I consistently, is that right? Are you okay? Are you understanding? But the audience is dead like a zombie. They aren't answering my question. Because the concept that I had in my mind is, everybody should be talking. But there is an audience that also just listens. They don't want to talk. They don't want to listen. But I'm not used to it. I thought they can't understand me, or they're not enjoying it. And 100 people are completely quiet. And then I play the music. And while I'm playing the music, unfortunately, because of pressure, whatever happens, the drum that I brought is not tuned. And now this is the fallen story, not the risen story. The session happens. People clap. Some people like it. I think the session is good, though I feel somehow it didn't work out well. Because, as speakers, we have a lot of ego, right? I think, oh my God, it still went well, I'm just trying to give myself dilasa, It went well. It was not so bad. My colleague also, who's very compassionate, she also says, Bob, session was good. I said, thank you so much. So I go back home feeling, okay, it was okay. I knew something didn't go well. It still went well, actually. But when I go home, the organizer of the event calls me up, the consultant, and says, Bob, it was terrible.
Oh my God.
And I said, terrible? I laugh. Very good. Very good. So I am disappointed. I'm shocked because I normally get very good feedbacks, from people. Oh, it was awesome. That's the type of response I'm used to. So there was also a little ego in me. So he says, it went terrible. The learning and development manager called up and said, it didn't go well. And he said a lot of things that I didn't like. I kept the phone down. And the thing is, when a normal person goes through a fall or a mistake or an error, it is only a one-to-one thing, right? They fail, they feel terrible. But we made a mistake in front of 100 people, 150 people. Plus the brand and the reputation is also hit. So I sit on the chair over there, feeling terrible and feeling sorry for myself for 3 hours. I'm feeling so disappointed. And I don't know why. I start, weeping and in tears like a baby because the way he spoke to me and the feedback was terrible. And I was feeling so down. Now, if you just decode what's happening with me, I'm focusing only on what did not work out. I'm only focusing on the fall. I'm only focusing on how embarrassing it was. I'm only focused on, how insulted I felt. I'm only focused on that guy spoke like this. That's all I was focused on. But after some time, I shifted my focus and said, Bob, can you focus on what positive happened out of it? And remember I said earlier, the biggest breakthrough in life happens when you discover a truth about ourselves. That very moment I discovered that, Bobby, this version of you that you feel proud in is not the version of you that is going to work for you in the future. You got to adapt as a keynote speaker. If you want to inspire 1 million people, you're going to have large audiences and you got to change the way you deliver your keynotes and your speeches. And I had to reinvent myself. And that's where it started. I had to evolve myself. And then I was able to look at that situation and say, okay, Bob, what have you learned from this? What is the solution you found over here? What have you discovered about yourself? What are some lessons you created for yourself? What have you discovered? And from this, what happened is the new version of me started getting created. So if you see a new version of me delivering keynotes in front of thousands of people, doing music and writing the book and everything, one of the reasons why I was able to do it, because I was able to terribly fall. And the answer that I have for people is, how do you build positivity? Is shift your focus from what did not work for you, what's terrible, to what lessons you're learning. What's the lesson in this? What's good about this? How can you change your life? What's the possibilities to move ahead? How can you move forward from now? And that happens, and that can only happen when you ask yourself empowering questions. And that's my answer to Bhavya and to anybody else who's listening.
That's amazing. How many times, ladies and gentlemen, do we focus on what can we do better rather than what went bad? Now, this is a very powerful thought. So, Bhavya has another question, and this is context specific. Like, what is your suggestion for motivating homemakers, people who are at home? Because personally, I also deal with a lot of people who are homemakers, and one of the things which I see is a financial identity crisis.
Hmm.
Matlab, this is my perspective because they feel that since we do not have any bargaining power,
Hmm.
or we are at home taking care of everyone, what
Correct.
can we do? So, what's your perspective?
I personally believe homemakers are some of the most beautiful people on earth, and they are sometimes far better than a lot of people who are doing things in the commercial world. For example, our mothers, the wives, the sisters, the guys, and the men. What I mean by that is sometimes, people ridicule a homemaker. A lot of time we see in movies also, husbands say that, tum to sirf ghar pe baithe rehte ho. You're always sitting at home. But the honest truth is, the amount of work that a homemaker does at home is phenomenal. And homemakers have the powerful capability to do multitasking, which a lot of us don't have. Okay. So, what is our suggestion for motivating homemakers? And Aditya, you correctly pointed out there is a financial identity crisis. Uh, I personally think that a homemaker should not limit themselves to only taking care of home. A true story that I recently read and that really, really inspired me, a story from the south of India, was there's a lady, who's handicapped. And, her father is an absolute great, great, great cook, who taught the daughter to cook the food. And the father-daughter had such a beautiful relationship. And point of time, and the father was a breadwinner for the house. And suddenly what happened is, and no brother and sister, only the daughter, the father, and the mother. And what happened is, and she's handicapped. The father was such an amazing figure, person in her life, father figure. And then the father, died, and the entire responsibility came on the daughter. Now the choice she could make is she could just sit at home and sulk, because realize she's handicapped. She has the right to say that, mom, you go and work. And then she had one of her friends, a friend who told her, listen, you're really, really good cook. You learned so much from your dad. Why not start something like cooking? And what she did is she said, oh, really? But who will take? And you said earlier that you need to have mentors in your life. Sometimes you need to have great friends in your life. That friend said, no, I will help you. I'll take care of the logistic because you have a disability. I can help you with the logistic. Why not you do something? And she decided to make pickles at home. And she had learned all these lessons from her dad. She started making, chicken pickle, fish pickle, and vegetable pickles, and people started loving it. And because she had such an inspiring story, she started putting it on Facebook. And as a result, people started ordering 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 3 kilo. And she now says that mostly people who order are people who are NRIs and people from the army who are ordering pickles from her. And she's created a thriving business where people are saying, can I get a 1 kilo? Can I get 2 kilos? And she says that, sometime she's sitting on her wheelchair over there. And you can understand when you're making pickles, it is a big journey. It's a long journey. And the pickles have to be dispatched at a specific time because, they don't add in preservatives, because it's a home thing. So she has to sit on that wheelchair or the chair for a long time, and really, really pains for her. But because she created her new identity for herself, knowing that not only am I sitting and confined to a home and just making a home, I can also create a future for myself and my family. And I personally think, and then this is the answer that I have, is a homemaker should, this very moment, even during COVID-19 and even after that, you got to develop skills that can make you financially independent. Whether it is cooking, whether it is sewing, whether it is, learning and upgrading some skills, building in-demand skills. I think it's very, very important because God forbid something happens to one of your partners or somebody in your family, then, you should not be in a stage of being a victim. I think you got to be self-independent. Independent. May I just say this? And I know this was something that I never thought about. A lot of homemakers, if they have a very abusive husband, And I come from a very abusive father relationship, father son, mother relationship. When my father was very abusive, a lot of wives and people who are dependent on somebody in the family, what happens is, because they don't have a skill, or they think they don't have a skill, they are so dependent on one of the family members that even if the person is abusing him, hitting them, speaking words that are very profane, or things that are not good, they they feel that, what can I do, so I have to stick with this person. I personally think that, if you where respect is not served, you should not sit on the table. Where respect is not served, you should not sit on the table. Whether you're a teenager, whether you're a wife, whether you're a husband, or whatever, whoever you are, you got to develop independent, in demand skills for yourself, so that, God forbid, a situation happens, you can stand on your feet and say, what next? World, situation, come on my face. I will go and face the situation, because I'm not scared. I live with faith and belief that I can do something about it, rather than saying I'm a victim of it. So that's my answer.
Wow, wow, that's really powerful. Where you are not served with respect, raise up your standard. That's quite beautiful, and thank you for sharing this amazing story. So
Thank
we have got just last two questions, and one is from Varun. So Varun has asked, when it comes to journaling or writing diary, what would you suggest? Early morning or late night?
you. Okay. So firstly, there is Varun. Thank you so much for your question, and stay blessed. There is no specific rule when you should write a diary, but if you ask me what's really worked for me and what's worked for a lot of people, is your diary should be connected to the time when you're about to start the day. You cannot keep, what do you say? You cannot do two things at one time. You got to first fuel your car and then drive the car. You cannot drive your car without the petrol or the diesel or whatever. So I suggest first thing in the morning is a beautiful thing. When you get up in the morning, when you have just started your day, your mind's still fresh. Sometimes we get up in the morning feeling absolutely horrible. Sometimes you could be getting up feeling very excited. So you get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, take a diary and pen. And this is what I do. I'll go to Spotify, I'll go to YouTube, listen to something, sounds of bird, listen to music, take a walk, whatever, and then take a diary and pen and write down what you're feeling that very moment of time. And a lot of people will say that I'm not feeling too good. When they write their thoughts down, what happens is they get clarity. And as Tony Robbins says this, when you have clarity, it brings motivation. One of the reasons why people get disappointed, frustrated, irritated, angry, and that's what coaches also help us with is getting clarity as to what you really, really want. Correct? So when you write a diary, one of the biggest purposes is to get clarity. When you do it first thing in the morning, you can really get clarity as to what you're feeling that very moment of time. You can write down, you can vent out, and then you can say, okay, how do I want to plan my day? What do I want to do today? What are 3 things that I can do that can really, really impact my life? One thing that I've learned which can really work for people is, when you do a diary writing in the morning, ask yourself a very powerful question. For example, how can I create the highest impact in my life this day and my entire day? What are 3 steps or 1 step that I can take today that can draw me closer to my goal? How can I make my day highly impactful? When you ask yourself a question first thing in the morning, you'll write your answer. You'll be charged up, you'll be energized, you listen to a podcast, you listen to a video, you're inspired, start your day, and you'll be surprised to know that your day will be very different to what it normally is. So that's the answer.
Amazing, amazing. So, Bobby, we just got a private request. I just wanted to share with you. Viewers saw your YouTube channel and they saw that they saw you playing drum. Is there any way? I know you mentioned me before, but this is a special request. Is there any way that you can play something for us? I would be, matlab, I did not wanted to say this to the viewers. Is there anything we can do, Bobby?
Unfortunately, I'm at a different place. I have not carried the instruments and it will require a lot of setup. But what I could do for you, Aditya, and I'm realizing we are running short of time, is I think we are yet to share a little bit of my story, which I think we didn't share. So for those who want to hear me live, there are a lot of videos available. And I think a
I
couple
taste your YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can go to my YouTube channel and see it. And I think, yeah, you can check on my channel. Just put drumming music, whatever, you'll find it. By the way, I also sing, so it's already there on. I sang Jashne Bhara from the
Wow.
beautiful movie Jodha Akbar. So, if you can bear it, आप अगर बर्दाश्त कर सकते हो तो बर्दाश्त कर लीजिए. But what I want to do is, if with your permission, Aditya, I would love to just take a minute to share a small part of my story. Okay. This, by the way, is my mother, and that's me, by the way. Uh, so my little story for those who may see the session or may are seeing it right now is when I was a little small, at the age of 15, actually, the first job I did was I used to be a construction, I did some construction job just for some time. I used to be a laborer on the streets of Mumbai. I used to pick up cement, reti, ghamela, and I used to build houses for people. The question a lot of people ask me is, Bob, at least you sound intelligent, or at least you talk really well, you sound qualified. Why would you do something like that? The thing is, when I was 2, 3 years old, my father left me and went away. He didn't die; he left us. Even today, where my father is, we don't know. And because my mom single-handedly took care of the entire family. My mom worked 2 jobs a day. She used to get up 5 a.m. in the morning, and I have a faint view of it. She used to get up 5 a.m. in the morning, feed us, cook for us, leave us, then go to work, come back in the afternoon, then go for another job in the evening. I still remember that at 10 o'clock in the night, 8 o'clock in the night, me and my two sisters would sit down. We are that's 2 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old, around that age approximately. We are sitting outside the door of the house, eagerly waiting for my mom to come home because, we are small children, in the jungle of Mumbai, in the city of Mumbai, you know. And when we are sitting over there, there is this woman who's passing by in a sari. And when she's passing by in a sari, we think, oh, it's a mom. So all the three of us are running, like, mummy, mummy, mummy. We are running to her. And when we catch the sari, uh, part of the garment, that woman turns and she says, hey, what happened? So we'll say, oh, sorry, sorry, you're somebody else. And then we run back, eagerly waiting for the mother to come. This mother of mine was the stronghold for us. She's the one who never got remarried. She took care of it independently. And there are times when she used to travel in the Mumbai local, going through the tragedy that she went through. She got blood pressure, and she went under a lot of struggles. Sometimes she used to fall down in the Mumbai local train, and she had an address, and somehow people used to pick her up and bring her home. And for half an hour, she used to be unconscious because of blood pressure, and we did not know whether she would be alive or dead. But thankfully, she was alive, and she would rise up, and we would be so thankful. This rock and this pillar that stood with us, she showed me one lesson that, in your life, you need people who will never abandon you. Because I have a painful story of being abandoned as a little child. And I know the pain of being abandoned. And this mother of mine stood strong. At the age of 15, when my mother really started struggling with health and she was really feeling unwell, I said, what do I do now? So I started working. The next job I did is I was in sales. I used to go door to door, house to house, selling watches. I used to sell one watch, an alarm clock to customers for 250 rupees. And I used to go to customers and say, sir, would you want an alarm clock? Would you want a watch, sir? And I remember in this Mumbai, in the slums of Mumbai, Jhoparpatti we call in Mumbai, like it's shown in Apna Time Aayega, the movie, Gully Boys. I used to go to the
Gully
slums,
Boys.
and sometimes people used to catch me by the collar and throw me outside, saying, hey, get lost. And जब कोई आपको कॉलर से उठा के बाहर फेंकता है, when somebody catches you by the collar and throws you outside, it is really embarrassing. And I still remember I'm on the highway of Mumbai. There is rain falling from there. Vehicles are passing by, and this young teenager, my tie is wet, my face is wet. I have an umbrella, I have a watch, I have an alarm clock. I'm looking up, and there is tears falling from my eyes that moment, because that day I literally do not even have 1 rupee to travel even in a bus. And there, when I'm standing on the crossroads of my life, that very moment, I made a decision. I said, this customer threw me out. My father left me. But I, Bobby Dsouza, make a choice to say that my biography will never determine the autobiography that I'm writing for my life. My past will never determine my future. And for everybody who's watching and who's going to watch, please remember, your past and your present never determines your future. And that moment I said, I'm going to do something for my family. I know that this family is very important for me. I'm going to do something. And I knew something bigger, better, higher is waiting for me. To cut the whole long story short, you know, I was in sales for many years. I was in customer service for many years. Consistently, I reinvented myself. I learned. I got mentored. I grew consistently. I was in customer service. I was in sales. I became a trainer for an organization. I became a training manager for an organization. I work for companies like First Source, ICSA One Source. I work for companies like Ray Sales, Resource Base. And then I started my own organization. I went to the north of India and I started inspiring the youth. And one of the reasons why I started inspiring the youth was, and it is, by the way, in the book Fallen to Rise, you should read the story, I would suggest. Uh, when I was 15 years old, when I was 12 years old, I had nobody to tell me, Bob, aage khadda hai, yahan mat ja, don't go here, don't go there, change lanes. Nobody was there to guide me. And then I realized that when I did not get that miracle of guidance in my life, can I become a miracle to at least some people? And as a result, I started inspiring the youth. And today I'm privileged to say that, I've had the privilege of inspiring 30, almost 29,000 plus people face to face in live sessions. I've inspired 2 lakh people online, and I worked with more than 7,000 students, face to face. I worked with CEOs of DHL, leaders of organization. And one thing I can tell you today is that my life is about building people, and my dream is to inspire at least 1 million people before my last breath. That's my dream. That's my dream. And my thought is this, that if I can rise from the fall, and if my message can be an inspiration, at least to some people, uh, each one of people who are watching this right now, you're qualified, you possibly have a dad and mom guiding you and standing with you. You can do much more than this. Please don't compromise for less. Stop compromising and just feeding your mind with great content on Netflix. I love Netflix myself, but stop just looking at a TikTok or an Instagram. I'm not saying don't do that, but your life is bigger, better, and higher to that. Make a masterpiece of your life. And I'm glad to say that I'm on the journey of making a masterpiece, and Aditya, I believe you are too. So, rise up.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please grab your copy, and I'm posting the link in the chat. Uh, do go ahead, purchase your book, because it's very rare occasion where you see a person, you are able to know about his history, you are able to know about his aspiration. This is one way where you can have real-time mentors.
Correct. Correct.
And
And
trust
Aditya,
me.
yeah, apologies for the interruption. What also happens in Fallen to Rise is, not only is Fallen to Rise a book which has got my story, what it also has is, it also has, like, for example, a chapter gets over and then there are notes which basically talks about what are certain lessons learning, how you can apply it. So the book has 2 parts in it. It not only tells my story, but it also shares lessons which people can actually apply.
So for the viewers who are watching us, I have pasted the link. Do get it. Make this your Christmas gift. Make this your New Year gift to you, because this is how you are going to transform yourself. So,
Thank you.
Bobby, how can people reach out to you?
Right. I think it's not very difficult to reach out to me, because you just Google Bobby Dsouza and you'll find me. But the best way to reach out to me is contact@bobbydesouza.com, which is the email ID that you are on. You can go to my Instagram channel, Bobby Dsouza Inspire. You can catch me on Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, iTunes. By the way, I'm happy to even help people personally. So if somebody needs to talk with me, you can just drop me a DM on Instagram and we can have a conversation. I also have a WhatsApp group called Community, which we've been running for the last 3 years, which has inspired so many people. Somebody has now reached Australia, somebody is in the UK. People have really, really grown from who they were and to who they are becoming. So it's easy to reach me. And Aditya, thank you so much for this opportunity, for giving me to share my story, and I hope it helps at least some people for sure.
Amazing, amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can reach out to Bobby. Bobby is omnipresent: Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. Bobby is there. Even on a WhatsApp community, you can reach out to him. Make sure that you take away something. And if this live stream inspired you, do comment your thoughts. We would appreciate. We would read them. And also do share it with someone you feel would be blessed enough to again go through this. And it's amazing, Bobby, that you took out time And we are really humbled. Our community members, people across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube have tuned in live. Thank you, Bobby. And I look forward to hosting you and working with you in the coming days.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. And until we meet next time, take care and see you. Bye.
Bye.